I'm going to be using the box frame dies today, but I'm going to make a mini scrapbook memory box. I'm using the 7-inch size, but you could quite easily do this project with the 6, the 7, the 8 or the 9-inch dies. The choice is yours. The project's made the same, you've just got to scale down or up your measurements. So I'm going with the 7-inch. So let's get started. So I'm looking at making a memory box mini scrapbook to house this mini scrapbook, or if you did want to make your own, you can buy these quite easily from the craft store. This is one that I picked up. Okay, so if you didn't want to make one, the project we're going to make is actually going to house this one as well, with the spine binding on the edge. So these are 8 inches by 8 inches in size, so that is the size we're looking at. So let's get started by making the frame to house our mini books. So you're going to need to start with to cut out 4 of these. So I've already gone and made a couple to start with. So you're going to need 4 for the front, and then you're going to need 3 for the back. But let's make the front, then you'll see how these box frames go together. So when you die cut it, you can see that you've got all your score lines already on your cardstock. So you just then need to go in and burnish those score lines. I'm just going in with my hands here. Now I'm using some Tura Pearl here, and this is 300 GSM cardstock, so you can pick this up quite easily from the Crafter's Companion website. So score all those nicely, and then for quickness I'm going to use some double-sided tape. This is really strong tape, but you could use a wet glue. If you were going to use a wet glue, I would recommend using tacky glue for this. Okay, so just peeling that off. That's it. And then the easiest way I find to do it is if you fold it across like that, because it's a square and it's a 1-inch square. If you fold that then down carefully like that, they match up perfectly. Okay, so now you've got the start of your frame. So let me just go ahead and do this one, just so you can get the idea of how these are going to go together. And I've got a little top tip as well to help you when you're actually going to come to join them together, because I'm going to use wet glue to join them together, and it can be a little bit fiddly, but with a little top tip of some masking tape or repositionable tape, it makes it very, very easy. So take that one off there. So again, that trick, folding it over, I've got my double-sided tape, or you'd have your wet glue, and it's easier to do it flat than to trying to do it in a square. Okay, and then you just pop it open, and there you go. You've got a couple to start with. So you're going to need 4 to make the box frame. Now you've got all these elements here, and these are going to go on the inside, but we're going to put glue on them so they attach on there to give that lovely mitered frame look. However, for the project I'm going to do, one of these tabs I'm not going to glue on the outside, on the inside. I'm going to glue it onto the outside, because we're going to cover the back of the frame, so it just makes the life a little bit easier. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of double-sided tape on there, just so you can see what I'm doing. Take that off, and that wants to come off. Okay, no, let's get my pokey tool. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to get my pokey tool to take the edge of that. Oh no, it's come off now. So that's got the tacky, or my double-sided tape, off, and I'm going to pop that to the back because I'm going to be covering this, as I said. So what you need to do is get your joints mitered, and it is easier if you lay it onto your desk. I'm not worried about the wet glue at the moment. And then pop that down. So you've got your two pieces nicely cornered together. And then with these three, going in with my tacky glue. Okay, so tacky glue on each of those. And it's good to put a good amount because we've got to get this to grab to the side. So I'm going to pop that in there. And then a little top tip I found, rather than standing there holding this, if you get some masking tape or repositionable tape, and then just pop that over there, pushing it together so you've got that nice tight mitre. And then what I found as well is I put another piece on the back. If you've got glue seeping out, just give that a little wipe and just pop that on there as well, and just leave that just for a little while, just while the glue dries. So I found that works really well, especially when you're going round doing all four sides. It just means you've got a bit more control about what's going on. And then this is going to be the back, because we've got this on the outside, but we're going to be covering that. So you need to do that on all four sides. So this is going to be the front piece. So this is going to be the all four sides piece. So you're going to get to a stage that is going to look like that. Okay, so that's all four done, and this is the back with my tape already on the pieces on the back here. But I'm not worried because I'm going to be covering that. But if I flip over to the front, you can see I've put an acetate covering on there. So I've just used some of the Crafter's Companion acetate, and I've cut a square that is 9 inches by 9 inches, and I've glued that on with my tape runner, because your tape runner is really good for your acetate. So you can use your tape runner, or you can go in with your double-sided, because then I put on my decorative panels. So with the dies, you also get these lovely decorative panels. Now, you can die cut plain panels to pop on there. So if you just wanted a plain contrasting colour, or you've got 3 beautiful decorative shapes. So I chose the swirly one, and let me show you how I've done that. So the easiest way I found to do this is I've used some adhesive sheets. So these are from Crafter's Companion. These are adhesive sheets. So they're adhesive on both sides. So if you peel the backing of one side, just take that off. I think I'm going to have to get my pokey tool at this. There we go. That's got that started. So you're going to take the sticky off one side, and then I've got some of my scrap colour here as well. I've gone in for the yellow, and you're going to stick that down. And then to save your scissors, because I've got a piece that's too big here, what I'm going to do is just cut. You can either cut that over the top like that, or I'm just going to trim. Make sure you trim the card as well, then it won't make the scissors sticky. Just trimming that away, because we don't want to put that through the Gemini. That won't like that at all, because these adhesive sheets are really sticky, I must say. I've been very impressed with them. They're so useful. You know, if you're die cutting sentiments and things like that, they work really well, because it means you haven't got to worry about trying to put glue on the back of your hands like I do, as you've seen me do before. You know, it's just an easy way of doing it. So I've now got my sheet exactly the same, with the same colour. And then you're going to pop your die face down, and I actually die cut my decorative panel at the same time, and I just use some of my repositionable tape, popped on there, and then I pop that through my Gemini, and I have cut it and I've also embossed it, so I've got all that beautiful detail in there. So let me show you then what it looks like. So you've got your cut and emboss, you bring all that beautiful detail up here, and then I've started to peel one away here. You may get the back cracking as you start to take it off. I found the best thing to do is to give it a little rub like that, and you'll see they start to peel away, the waste pieces peel away very easily. And all I did was just stack them in a corner of my craft mat. It's quite therapeutic actually. It doesn't take long at all. So just peeling those away, and then when you take your backing off, you've got all that detail all ready to stick straight on top of your acetate to hide where you've stuck your acetate down. Now the other thing you can use these decorative panels for as well, I did show you you've got the plain ones. You can do a plain border if you wish in a contrasting colour. You can also die cut directly into the frame, and I've got an example of that here somewhere. Here we go. So I've done this on another project, so you can actually die cut it into the frame itself. So that is my frame, and I've die cut it in the middle, and this would look lovely if you threaded some of those very tiny little fairy lights in, you know, the little micro fairy lights. You could pop those inside there and put your picture, and it's just something a little bit different, but you've got all these lovely dies to play with. Okay, so that's just giving you a few ideas for other projects. So that's what I've done with this one. Now I'm going to do the mechanism that's going to hold my mini book. So again, I've got 3 cut this time. So I've got 3 pieces cut, and I'm going to bring my guillotine in because we're going to chop some of these pieces off. I'm not going to need this thin piece here, so I'm going to try and pop it in my guillotine. You could do it with a pair of scissors as well if you wish. And in fact, I don't think this is going to quite fit. Oh yes, it is going to fit in my guillotine. So I'm going to pop that in there and cut that off, and I need to do that on all 3 of those. So just popping that in. The guillotine's great for this because you know you're going to get a nice crisp cut every time, and it's straight, and I've not got to worry. I mean, the guillotines are great because they go through so many layers in one go. Okay, and that last one. So I've taken those little pieces off. We're going to be taking some other pieces off, but let's do this step by step. So this time I want to make a sliding pocket for putting all this into. So you're going to be doing like you did with your front frame, but this time we're not turning it in to a box frame. We're going to be turning it into a sleeve. And let's just, let me get my other scissors. I just want to chop that piece off there. So this time I'm going to be sticking those pieces on the inside. So for quickness, I don't think I've got another tape runner going here, have I? Might have a little bit left in this, let's see. That's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join these 2 together, so you've got that nice mitre, and I'm going to fold that piece in and join it to the outside, and then I'm going to fold that piece in and join it to that one, and just make sure you've got your angles at a nice mitre. Now when we come to here, because we're not making a box frame, what I want is this straight line here to line up with this straight line here, so it's going to come to here, and again this is all going to be covered with a back piece. So I think I'm going to pop a bit of wet glue on here. So pop that onto there, and on the inside just make sure everything is flat, because when we're putting our mini scrapbook in and out, we don't want it catching on anything at all. So just wipe that away, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my trick again with the repositionable just while it's taking its time to dry, and then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So we're going this way round, so oh, nearly to the end of my tape. Oh, there we go. I think that's the end of that one. So the same again. Start off by getting those corners. So where that score line is, getting it right in that corner. It's easier to do it laying down, Dawn. So right in that corner, I'm pressing that down. And then I'm going to flip it over and do the same on the back, getting those corners nicely mitered, because if they don't match up properly, your project's not going to look very neat. So popping that on there. I'm not quite happy with that one there. Let me do that one again. So as I say, just take your time with it till you're happy. And the great thing about the tape pens or wet glue is you know you have that time for manoeuvrability. So there we go. I'm going to just go in again with my bone folder, and again on that side. Sorry you can't see what I'm doing, but what I'm doing is I'm just pressing down on these edges, and then this little flap, again pop some wet glue on there, making sure that is straight, and then just set that aside for a minute to dry, and then we'll come back and do the next stage. Right, I've had that tape for a little bit, so that's had time to dry. And what we're going to do is we're just going to cut these mechanism pieces off here, because we don't need those. So if you just carefully go in with your scissors, and if you cut on the score line, they will match up with the ones on the other side. So I'm just going in with my scissors and trimming those off. Okay. So we don't need those, they can come out the way. So now both ends look identical. So I've got myself a piece of matching cards in the yellow. I've chosen yellow, but you can choose any colour you like, really. So I've got a piece of matching card, and this is measuring 9 inches by 9 inches. We're making a 7-inch box frame, and that, or we're doing a sliding bit, but a box frame, that's the inside measurement. So your overall measurement, because you have an inch each side, is 9 inches. The plain piece is going to go on the back. Okay. And then for the front, I've cut another piece of the acetate, because personally I think when we go to the trouble of decorating these glorious mini books, we want to be able to see them. So I'm going to actually not have that covered. I'm going to leave that with the acetate. So I'm probably going to do some more of my pieces to go around the edge to cover the mechanism up as well, and I may even do a panel along this side as well, just to finish that off totally, to have that nice look. But the other thing I want to do is we're going to join the two frames together, because this is going to sit on here. Now this is where you could have it as a solid piece, so when you pick it up you've just got a side in it you can pull your album. But I'm going to do it with a hinge that we can open up, and then I'm going to do with another piece here, I can do another scrapbook page on the inside here, just with a nice greeting. So that is my aim, to do that. So let's have a look at the hinge I've made. So the hinge I've got here again is measuring 9 inches down, and then what I've done is I've scored at 1 inch, 2 inch, and then I've cut. So it's 3 inches by 9 inch with a score line at 1 inch and 2 inch, and I've just mitered the corners. I've also cut another strip of the yellow to hide the mechanism on the inside, because we want it all looking nice, and that is measuring 1 inch by 9 inches. So these are going to then all join together, so that's going to come on the back here. Okay, so let's do this a step at a time as we do. So let me pop this out of the way. So we're going to turn the project over. We turn it around that way so you'll see in the right place. I'm going to take off now my masking tape. I'm going to keep that to one side because I can use that again. That's the great thing about it. So if you're using repositionable, don't just throw it away. Remember that you can use it again and again. So just pull that from there. See, the nice thing about it, it doesn't mark your cintura pearl. It saves me putting lots of pegs in place as well. So little top tip there for you. So this is the back of the project. So this is going to sit on here, okay, because it's going to wrap around there and then come onto the front piece. Let me show you what I mean. So I've got some double-sided tape on here. This is quite strong double-sided tape I'm using here, but use a wet glue if you're not sure. Now just make sure you've got your two pieces lined up, and I've just moved that so I can see what I'm doing, and always do that with a project. Always be comfortable with how you're actually putting things down. Okay, so that's just going to go in there, and I'm just going to rub that along with my hand. So that's sitting nicely there, and that is going to wrap around. Okay, and let's just, let me just pop that again. I'm not quite happy that that's square. Let's just, is that better? Yeah, that looks better. So even though that's really super sticky, that just gives me that little bit of time. And I'm going to go in with my bone folder on the inside again and just press that down, because that's going to wrap around there and come onto that front piece. So let's finish this back off. I've got my yellow to all match, and that is going to sit on there. So I'm going in with tacky glue all the way around the edge. I'm doing it on all of this board because I want a good stick, because we've got our mini book going in here. And if you've bought the bought one with the spiral spine, they're a bit heavier, and you want it all to stand being looked at beautifully. You know, it's great doing projects like this because we take so many pictures and we leave them on our phones. And I don't know about you, when I start scrapbooking, I've always got far too many photographs for the occasion, because I do like taking photographs. So I have far too many. So it is quite nice that you can do a project like this and keep all your photographs, so you can print them off and enjoy them in a little mini book at the back. So it is like a sort of memory box scrapbook album. It's just got so much more to it. You know, in this sliding bit, if you were going to a wedding or anything like that at all, you could keep your wedding invitations, all sorts of things like that. Just make sure it's all square. Remember, your cardstock you cut is square. Can you see I need to just push that in because I've got nothing this end to make this square. So what I'm going to do is take my repositionable tape again, because you've got that wiggle room because it's tacky glue. If I just do that, that will stop that sliding outwards, so that will hold the shape we need. This end seems to be behaving itself. It was just that other end that wasn't, and we just need to really push that down. Okay, so that just needs obviously time to set. You could put some weights in that as well, not a problem. I'm just really pushing down with my bone fold. That tacky glue will soon take off, as you know. Okay, the next thing I need to do is to pop my acetate on here to make the cover. So I can pop that onto there. Now I've run out of my tape pen. I need to get another tape pen. I've run out. I need to put an order in. So I'm going to use some just double-sided tape. It won't matter because I'm going to cover it. So again, I'm just going to put a line of tape, and on the top here, and then on this side. So if you haven't got a tape pen, they are good to use because it is quicker than doing this. So I'm just pressing that down. And then what I like to do is take one of these off on this side, and I do what's called angel wings. So I just have it flapping to the side like this. Get your acetate in line, and what I'm doing is I'm lining the bottom first so I know everything is square. It's hard for you to see what I'm doing because it is obviously acetate and it's got no pattern on it. Okay, now I could have foiled this if I'd got my hot foiling machine out. You see, this is it. There's so many extra things that you could do with this project with what you've got with your crafty stash. You know, you could use your hot foiling machine. So again, just making sure it's all lined up. Then with the this is what I call angel wings. Just pull it down and then just go in with your hand and press that down. And then I've got the last one to do on this side, so I'm just going in with my poker tool underneath, taking back that cover and just making sure your acetate is in line with your frame because we want it all square. Okay, so that is that all done. So I need to do some panels to go along here and here, but that is my pocket ready to receive my mini scrapbook. Okay, that's as easy as that is, and actually I think that looks quite nice that you can see what you've got there. But as well, if you've got the shop bought one with the spiral, let me show you, that fits in perfectly easily as well. These come in an array of designs. It fits beautifully in there. Look, the glue's not even dry, but if I show you, that fits nicely. Okay, so that's the 8x8 size, so that would fit nicely in there. So if you had a wedding, how nice would that be to have all your photographs there, but then on this front here we can then put your main picture, and you could store this on your side in your craft room, on your bookcase. It would just look exquisite, wouldn't it? Now how we're going to attach this to this is It's going to fold over this one, and I'm going to attach it to here before I put the backing on. But before I just glue that, I want to show you what I've been up to. Let me find, is it that piece? And I've got my, no, I've got my cardstock here. I've got one I've already lined out. So what I've done is I've cut myself a piece of mount board, okay, and the mount board is measuring the 7 inches by 7 inches, so it fits beautifully inside your square frame, but I want it to raise up just a little bit. So what I've done is I've measured 1 inch in on all 4 sides and just done a pencil line, so I know exactly where my board is going to go, because I need to do my little scrapbook layout on here. I've printed off a couple of photographs. So this is my mum and dad, so this was when they got married, and then this is 60 years on when we had a big party for them. So I'll do another little scrapbook layout on there, because that's going to be the centerpiece to my project. Okay, so this is going to go on the back of here, but I'm not going to stick this on yet. This will go on later on when I've finished all my decoration. But I can actually stick my frame, because what I'm going to do is stick this to here, and then the last thing that's going to happen is that is going to be stuck on to there. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Okay, so this will then make the project. So with the back here, it's covering all these elements here. Okay, so let's just stick that down so you can see what I'm doing. So let's pull that away. So if I lay these side by side, make sure they're all matching. Let's move that tape out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Make sure it's all matching. That matching at the top. And then fold that back on itself. Perfect. You see what I mean? So that's going to go like that. How nice is that going to look? So you could stand it on your side if you want. Stand it into a bookcase. Open it up. You could put a piece of mount board on the back and hang it on your wall. There's so many things you could do. So I'm not going to stick my final panel on there yet, because that then will finish the colour. But do you remember I cut that strip that was 1 inch wide? This is because I didn't want to see, when that's stuck onto there, I didn't want to see that white, because personally I don't think it looks very nice. So I've done a strip of yellow which is going to go onto here. Let me just put this in the position where I can work with it. So I'll put some double-sided tape on here as well. So I'm just going to position that in place. Okay. There we go. So then when the backing is on there, how nice is that going to look? Really nice professional look, because you've got the same colour going all the way across. So the next thing I've got to do is my little scrapbook layout to go inside there, and I've got my decoration to do around the edge of there, so I'm going to get that done. Now some of you may be wanting to make an album like I've made. Now this is a very quick and easy album to make, and how I've done it, and I've put them to one side very carefully. How I've made this is actually with some envelopes. That's all I've made it with, is with envelopes. So they're really quick albums to pop together. Okay, in no time at all. I've got 4 envelopes here. You could quite easily do up to 5 without adding a spine. It fits perfectly in the project. You could, if you didn't heavily embellish, I've got a bit of heavy embellishment going on here with Sarah's rustic wedding with the buttons and things. You could easily make 2 of these to fit in the slot that I've made. Okay, but let me show you how quick and easy these are to do. So these are your envelopes. I'm just demonstrating here with 6x6 envelopes, but for the project you're going to need 8x8 envelopes. Now if you go and buy them and they're 8 1/8 of an inch or 8 1/4, they will still fit in that box, remember, because that box on the inside bit that we've made at the back is 9 inches. Okay, so all I've done is fold them all over. So I've got my first one folded over. I'm going to fold that over. I've got the opening here. I'm going to get the next one and pop next to it. Then I'm going to get my all-purpose. Take the lid off that bit. And I'm going to put glue just along the flap. So glue all along the flap. Line them up together, a bit like we've just done with the frames. And then flap that over so that fits. Okay, and then you're going to turn the page and bring in your next page. So again, you've got your opening. This is your flap. So down on the with the glue, just on the flap. Line it all up square. Flap it over. Turn the page. That's your last page. Well, this is the last page of my album. I'm just doing a 4-page one. So again, line it up. Got your opening. Got your flap. Pop your glue on. This is really quick way. If you've never had a go at making a mini scrapbook, this is a perfect one to start with. Something, I think once you've made one of these, you will make several of these. They make great gifts as well because it doesn't cost a lot. You know, you're just using a few envelopes here. Now on the back here, you've got your opening. But remember, underneath here, we tucked this flap. So this now is going to come over to here. And what I like to do is when I do it, if I just do it like that, can you see there's just about 1/8 of an inch score. Now I've folded that over there. And again, glue. Press that down. And there is your mini scrapbook. Ready just to be decorated. Just so easy to do. And if I show you the one I've decorated, I've used the rustic wedding. As I said, this was my parents' 60th wedding anniversary. So just by cutting your papers down, you see, quite easy to put lots of nice big photographs in here. When you're doing the 8x8 size that we're doing for the project, your 6x4 photographs, you can get 2 on a page. Just perfect. Here I've done the picture when they first got married and put the year. I've got the little bride and groom here as well, when we had the party in the year. And then over here it's when we had the speeches and the top table. There's me there with my sister and all the decorations. Mum and Dad having their first dance. We set it all up just like a wedding reception all over again for them. And then there you go. So that is as easy as it is to make one of those albums, just with some envelopes. So the next thing I've got to do is to do my little scrapbook layout that I'm going to do to go in here, and cut out some more of this lovely decoration to go around my acetate. And then I'm going to come back to you to show you what I've been up to. I finished die cutting and adding the decoration round the edge of the frame now. So this is the back frame here, and I've even added another piece just to the edge, just so you have that nice framed look in the pocket as well. And I've also attached another piece of that lovely Centura pearl, so you've got a nice finish when your album is taken out. So let's pop the mini album in there. So that fits absolutely beautifully in there. But as I've said, if you didn't want to go ahead and make your own album and you wanted to purchase one of these from the craft shop, you could quite easily, and if I take my handmade one out, these fit just as well inside there as well, so you can see that fits absolutely perfectly in there as well. And that's quite a chunky a chunky album as well, so that's an 8x8 album. So that's one from the craft store, but of course I've made my own, how I showed you, really simply and easily to do, just with some envelopes. So that can pop in there, and I think just having that trim on the side there just finishes that off, and with the beautiful decoration around, it just finishes it off, and it makes the acetate it look just beautiful. Over on this side I've taken another one of the dies from the Rustic Wedding collection. I've just stuck that down, and then using the plain frames that go in your kit as well, I've actually made a little frame for it just to finish it off, and when that closes it fits inside that area there, so it's keeping everything flat. So if I stand it upright, you can see that everything is nice and flat. So great to give as a gift. There's my mini layout on the front there, so it all coordinates with the mini album with all the photographs inside there. So there's my mini scrapbook layout. I can go 3D because we've got these 3D frames, so I've got the roses all 3D, I've got the lovely buttons from Sarah's Rustic Wedding collection, and I even mounted the board that I made my little layout. I've even mounted that on 3D foam as well. So I think you'll agree, a great project, lovely to give as a keepsake if you go to a wedding or an event, but nice to make to keep for yourself too. You can stand it on the side and just have it there as your photo album, or you can have it just as your keepsake and stack them up on your shelves. So I think you'll agree it's a lovely project. I've really enjoyed making one. Very easy to make with these dies. I mean, I've made this one here in the 7x7, so when it says 7x7 it's actually the size of the inside of the frame. So I've made mine, but you can make these any size you want. Put mount board on the back, put them on the wall as well. So thank you for watching, and why don't you have a go at making one yourself with the 3D frame dies?